Question is, the latter part of council's discussion. My question is, did that discussion say that there is now no differentiation between the work that is to be done or proposed to be done for or on the sports complex and the MLK Center?
No,
No, that was not the result?
that's not what it says.
Okay, fine. So since that is not what it says, then I go back to my earlier thinking. Why is it that, if I'm following, I believe his name is Mr. Coker, how is it that the proposed consultant gets to determine the scope of work as opposed to the people for whom the work is being done? It seems like the city council ought to be determining the scope of work that is to be done. And if the city is determining,
We will. This has been,
but wait a second, I thought I heard you say that if he determines that the scope of work should include, did I not hear that?
this has
I didn't
been
hear
an
that.
ongoing project for a long time with a plan in place. And we've gone through the Parks and Rec Department, qualifying the needs for the fields to make them productive, to be able to host tournaments, to bring different things in. You can't just go over there and build, you couldn't go over there and build what I want to build. If you want to go over there and build what I want to build, it would be sufficient. You couldn't handle these tournaments. Now, that's because I don't know anything about it. So that's the reason we have brought in outside people. We've traveled, some of the council members have traveled to 4 or 5 different cities and looked at what they have and how they do it and how they operate it and how does it work for them. So,
So with respect to the comments made about 2014 completion on the proposed work for the sports complex, and the comments made about plus or minus 5 or 10 years for work to begin on MLK projects, I'll call it, I don't know if that's the right term, but is that still part of that scope of work?
well, what we saw as far as a plan was for a aquatic center that could run millions of dollars. We
To be
don't
where,
know.
sir?
Sir?
To be where, sir?
At the MLK properties. And we had other things that were proposed in there that could be there. Well, there'd be no way if an aquatic center cost us $6 million. Now, we're back to basketball, we're back to improving some other things that are there. I don't see where that can be accomplished. I'm sure it can be accomplished, but we gotta build it within a budget that we can handle and we can afford.
You're making wide-ranging comments, which I understand. That is not the scope of my question.
Okay.
The scope of my question, Mr. Mayor, is specifically those items that were mentioned earlier this evening as being 2014 projected completion date. Those items that were mentioned as being plus or minus 5 years out or 10 years out. How come there is such a disparity between those items and then those next year items? Regardless of what the names are, aquatic centers,
If you take-
baseball fields,
Okay,
or
let's
what?
just take $6 million. Let's just say that if the new ball fields cost us $6 million, and the auditor that was in here said we owe 5, and I think there's another $1 million that has to be included in on that, that's 6. So 6 and 6 is 12. So then we owe $12 million. Okay, but we've got a tool that you have just produced which can bring tournaments in here, house, lodging, restaurants that create a tax base for you. Okay, can we pay them? Can we make those payments? Yes, we think we can make those payments because if we refinance where we are, we're at 4 and 5% interest on the things that we owe now. We think we can get a rate down in the 1 point something to 2% and refinance, and where we have the longest term debt that we have now is probably 7 years out. We're mostly 6 and 7 years out. So if we extend that to say 10 years, we can essentially make the same payment that we're making now, and we know we can pay them. We know we can do that because we paid that during the 4 years of downturn in the economy when the money wasn't coming in.
That's good, sir, and I applaud that. That still was not addressing, I'm hoping you can see the, if I can call it this, the narrow scope of my question. And the narrow scope of my question simply is this. What I heard talked about earlier tonight was a completion of some item or project at the sports complex within a 12-month span. That's what I heard tonight. I also did not hear tonight any project being started, completed, improved, or whatever within that same time period. I did not hear that. And that is the part that I'm trying to get council to see, and I do believe it is the same point Councilman Gill was trying to make. There needs to be some concerted effort on both of those projects, whatever their names are, at the same time the first phase is done. And I'm not seeing that, I did not see that in the discussions that were held tonight, sir.
Okay,
I didn't
well,
see that.
I think we got it in discussion, we had a discussion out there, we had a discussion up here about it. I think we're all came together on the same page when we passed
So am
this
I the only one that's seeing
to
this?
move
No,
forward.
you're not.
So we appreciate you coming.
Just so we can be clear, and I want to make sure that we're clear here. What I thought happened, or my understanding was, once the project starts at the sports complex, similar projects that we desire, deemed necessary, will start at the MLK. That's my understanding of what we did.
We didn't start a project tonight. We
No,
started the
Mayor,
management of the
Mayor.
project, but we've got to know what the scope of work to be done and the cost of it.
And whatever those scopes are at the sports complex, as it relates to the Martin Luther King Center, whatever those products are, whatever they cost, that they both will start and hopefully be completed simultaneously. That's my understanding. That's what I thought we addressed. Now, if we did address that, what,
Regina?
please tell me what?
All y'all did tonight was expand the management contract to encompass work to be done on the MLK. Okay, the scope of work has not been finalized. The cost of the work has not been finalized. So all you're saying is he is now being hired not only to manage the development of the, whether softball and other fields are, but also to manage the increased,
Renovation.
yes, improvements to the MLK. So he's been hired to oversee both now. That's what y'all did tonight. And he's gonna have to come back with the council. Y'all gonna have to determine, based on the cost, what the scope of both of those things are gonna be to come under that management contract. Does that clarify?
Anyone else would like to speak?
Jerry, I'm sorry, but I've been gone a while. Just two quick things. One, if the tree that's blocking the light and he thinks it needs more light under the bridge, why can't we keep the tree and put a light under the bridge? If it's $6.33.
The tree has been falling piece by piece. It's been a problem down there. And so I'm sure they have addressed it.
I just hate to see any of them taken down. The other thing is, you had, the city has taken over 231 part of that area for y'all to maintain. And since we're doing that, I would like to ask the council to please consider maybe putting the signage up now and doing the paperwork that's necessary to put the signs up at the entrances to this city, because I would really like to see that done. And I just would like you to all think about that. The second thing is, when we were talking about revenue generating, West Wetumpka was, I'm on the board of, I'm the committee for West Wetumpka, the Neighborhood Association too, but I'm on West Wetumpka Pride. Before I started with Wetumpka Pride, their next project was supposed to be the lighting, the decorative lighting for the north and west bridge to connect the historical district to the city, so that everybody could tell that they were all one and not a separate entity. Now, I've heard that people said, well, then other neighborhoods would want lighting too. That doesn't compute. For the simple reason that's not a good excuse, because we bring in revenue. We have the tour. we have the tour of homes, we have the walking